Hey guys, how's it going out there? Welcome to the show. If you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. We got a great one lined up for you today. The Fantasy Geodesy. That's right, a tale of idiocy. You're here for it. We're going to do it all over again. Got an all-star panel. Arwin, what's going on, sir?
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm doing great. Pretty sober, so don't ask.
Outstanding. The Adam Meakin, how's it going, sir? You're here?
A little rushed. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Excellent. Yeah, just literally just finished snaffling down my tea, so just ran up to the shed. So yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. And Nathan Oakley, how's it going out there, sir?
Very well, very well. Be here. Good to be back on BALLBUSTERS after 3 weeks off.
That was a nice little break, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it is. A couple people won't make it. They already said so. The beautiful Betty Van Velsen will not be able to make it today. And Chocolate, he is on a trip to Arizona.
Chocolate road trip.
Yeah, chocolate road trip. Yep, you won't be able to make it. That's all right. That's all right. He said it'd try to catch up to the show. He loves this topic. It's what I like to say is probably, and I've talked to a few people about it. It seems like it's maybe the last port in the storm. Geodetic surveying, folks. The last port in the storm. It's coming on a little heavy over the past, I would say, 1 to 3 months. It's risen back up again after it was just clobbered to death about 3.5 years ago. Not only by me, there was a lot of people out there trying to tell them that is Jesse Kozlowski. You were probably the only one out here of note with geodetic surveying. We tried to tell you a number of times we can destroy your whole fairy tale so-called discipline of geodetic surveying from Geodesy with a simple phrase. Here it is again. Listen closely. Angular size change with distance. That simple statement destroys your whole fairy tale. But we're going to peel it apart at the roots coming up here shortly. What do you think about that? Yes, sir.
Do you have any suspicions of why? I do. Why Geodesy suddenly come back into a trend?
Go ahead.
It's because when you debunk the radius, the black swan, no justifiable reason to beg the question. So from the trench level, if you can remove that begging the question fallacy and push it onto someone else, that would be a geodetic surveyor. Well, they say they already know it's a sphere. They use their datum and then measure it flat. Well, therefore, it's a sphere. They can beg the question. It's a route into begging the question. It's a lot of pressure on the geodetic surveyors, though, eh?
Ah, yes. But there was one geodetic surveyor, the one we're going to talk about today, had a little debate, I don't know, about 5-6 days ago. And he didn't know the dimensions of the Earth. I couldn't believe it. He had a debate with Wits It Gets It, and he was asked what the circumference was. I think it was the circumference, and he didn't know what it was. Isn't that kind of shocking? Yes?
No.
No.
Yes and no.
Not really.
So used to just being in authority and not needing to ever be questioned, having a basic question about the, what do you say, the circumference of their fairy tale model. That doesn't surprise me.
They just need some time to Google it.
Yeah,
You're not wrong.
You're both right. It is shocking, John, and no, you're right. Also, Nathan, it doesn't surprise me either.
Well, alrighty then.
Sorry.
No, they're
I was
really
brief for once, wasn't I?
yeah. That's what was shocking. I was waiting.
Sorry,
I'm
mate.
sorry.
I shall avoid it in the future. Don't
Ha.
worry.
Keep on rambling, my friend.
It's a
Yeah,
very important subject. I mean, we discussed this just before the show went out, or before the show went live. This is a very, very important subject because we've only got one cause: things disappearing in the distance. So, if people can cast their mind back, if they've been around long enough, when Tim Osman used it, but he presented a list of all the excuses that flat earthers use for single asserted claim in their column. They've got one claim, Earth curve, based on R, based on the geometric model. That's what they've got as their only claim, their only assertion. And all the other things, angular limitation with distance, the resolution of your camera, anything to do with weather, anything to do with the angle of view to the target, the size of the target in angular size rather than actual size, all of those things are ignored. And there's only one claim, there's only one assertion: Earth curve, based on geometry. It's an important aspect that we're discussing. I know few pauses as we get the show started, but we've got a nickname for the curve calculator. There's one particular part of that nickname that we're going to be paying attention to more than any on this show, which is the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. They've taken perspective, angular resolution limit, things getting smaller into the distance, and called it Earth curve by way of reifying a point in the distance we call the horizon, a not actual location, to physical actuality, an Earth curve edge obstruction that blocks things in the distance. And the horizon's not physical. Things get smaller with distance. Earth curve is merely perspective.
Yes, sir. That's. Go ahead, Adam.
Go
ahead.
I was just going to ask Nathan, have you got Timmy's list? It might be.
I don't know which show we presented it on. Oh, no. Yes, I have somewhere.
Yeah, good to see. It was very comprehensive things. Explain the world in which we live. He compiled. Quite an ironic thing, really, wasn't it? The way it was done.
Yeah, so on there, they had things like swells. If I say, the water will rise, fall, most people will instinctively appreciate that that's true. But it's in the column of, flare perspective and angular resolution limit and angle of attack. All of those things ignored because they're all just Earth curve. Wells? No, Earth curve.
Didn't Nick call them? Wasn't the title of the list "Flat Earth Excuses"? If I remember correctly.
Almost. Flat Earth excuses for Earth curve.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I remember that part. I think he made it up, but it got around real quick because I seen it many different places. Right, and they're all laughing. We're sitting there. They went down the list. We're sitting there. Yes. All those are correct. Yes. Good job. Thanks.
Exactly. Yes, that's correct. Swells can block things from bottom up. That's correct. Yes. The weather, yes, it can block things from bottom up. Yes. Reducing your angle to your target. Yes, that will make it disappear quicker. Yes, that's correct. Yes, the distance based on your angular resolution limit, the diffraction point. Yes, that will all cause things to disappear into the distance, often bottom first against the deck.
It was a gotcha.
They seem to do it quite frequently at the moment. They throw back, what is basically our concise demolition of their position. They throw it back at us like it's a defense. I'll give you a classic example because it's current. Diffraction. Like, they're throwing diffraction, or specifically Conspiracy Cats is throwing diffraction at me. But that's our argument. Throwing at me like it's a defense. No, you don't get it. Let's talk about diffraction. What's that you say? You've got an issue with Anthony.
My word.
In their quest for victory, they have jettisoned all reason.
Moreover, use the debunking. They take the debunking, throw it back at us. Let's take a different example. geometric horizon, right? Earth curve. We point out that you haven't got a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. And their response to that is to say, we wouldn't expect to see Earth curve. And they think that's a rebuttal. Going back what we've pointed out. No, we don't have a geometric sphere edge for a horizon. Oh, we wouldn't expect to see one. That's their rebuttal.
Unbelievable. They don't even know their own reification model. They don't even know it. They don't know it after 5 years. That there is a geometric horizon in your... Go to Earth Curve... McWest Earth Curve Calculator. You see the green X? That marks the spot. That's the geometric horizon. It's in your model. You need it. My word, people. They don't know the fundamental tenets of their religion. It's shocking. We flat earthers, we know their reification model better than they do. It's not a question. It happens I see it every single day. Shout out to Eagle Plane and Anchor. Thanks, Matt, for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Well, when it comes down to it, you know, in the heat of things, they don't have a model. They don't have anything. They only have their religious conviction. Because everything becomes flexible and they'll double speak at a increasingly rapid pace. You know, whatever it takes.
Yep. Contradict. Go ahead.
It used to be the geometry. It used to be fundamental to their argument. Its physicality. And that's the interesting switch. It no longer can be. So when you say they're no, you know, your criticism, Marvin, I would. Yeah, there is a fundamental truth in themselves. They have to be denying now because of the way they flip-flopped from it. Looking back at the old, the Isle of Man stuff, that was fundamental for all their critique, everything that was being viewed, the way it was being viewed. That geometric edge was what was interfering with the image. That was fun. Now, that geometry plays no part in anything you observe.
Yeah. Their comeback?
Refraction. They're nostalgic.
Refraction. They don't even understand when they say their little one-word explanation or one-word rebuttal. They don't even understand that as soon as they say that, they compromise their entire model. That's why, as soon as they say it, that's why we say, welcome to Flat Earth. Snacks are in the back, bathrooms on the left. They don't get it. They don't understand refraction. As soon as you say refraction, it's a double your pleasure, begging the question fallacy on steroids. They don't get it. They don't understand that they need R or the radius or to calculate refraction. They don't have the R. They need the atmosphere to curve. Well, gases don't take shape. It's a train wreck of epic proportions, but that's all they do. That's all they can do now. It follows the one word responses, right? It's either gravity, refraction, you don't understand, cherry picking. They don't understand. They don't even understand those terms. This is a carnival tent joke. It's goober gotchas. That's what they are. They're goobers. I'm sorry. That's what they are. I have yet to not meet a goober. A goober. I have yet to meet one. That's not a goober. I'm sorry.
This is the segue into today's show, isn't it?
Yes.
So you get to the point where you point out to trench level globe fundy religious zealot, you can't move the horizon with R. That'd be 7/6R terrestrial refraction. If you can't measure R, so at that point they've got to lean on something to justify begging the question. So if you can move over to geodetic surveyors with their convoluted gaggle cluster screw of begging the question when they reference a datum that automatically assumes spherical location, then measure a zenith to a presupposed central point. Once you've done that, they then measure everything flat. But in their justifications for how things in the distance reduce in size, they'll say they're falling around Earth curve.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same people who are measuring it and flat whilst begging the question from a datum that will make these assertions that they've got some level of credibility in terms of their justification for why the horizon's dropping, i.e. Earth is bending away from you as things get smaller into the distance. It's just a way of them, people at trench level being them, leaning on somebody that can beg the question on their behalf with a confusing enough backstory with datums and zeniths for it to go unnoticed by your average general flat earth debater.
Yes, sir. Here's the... Go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say, I don't pretend to know the ins and outs of this, but fundamentally, it seems to me is we can't prove the ball, so we'll do everything in a pre-assumed model.
Yes.
We'll place it in a paradigm that isn't even the ball anymore. That's the weird thing. It's not even their model that they've had to abandon. It's within another paradigm which kind of is constructed in a funky kind of way just to make everything that little bit flatter.
Yes, sir. We're going to get specific on that very phenomena. And here's the here's the game, folks. Here's what these geodesists, geodetic surveyors, here's what they do. And it's as simple as this. They conjure a model. That's the first thing that happens. They didn't do it. The modern ones right here didn't do it. It was already done for them. The model was conjured from thin air. Then they perform optical calculations. They calculate via optics. Then they wrap those calculations from optics around the fairy tale model they conjured from the first step. It's the mother of begging the question fallacy circle jerks. That's it. That's the whole game. We are going to show that to you in spades here. And I might as well get into it, right? So let's take a look at what Geodesy actually is. And we'll get it from their side. We're not making it up. You know, we don't want to straw man them. We're going to go with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, their definition on geodesy. So let's take a close look at this. I'm going to stop periodically and get your take whenever I hear, I'll just go by feel. So, what is geodesy? Geodesy is the science of accurately measuring and understanding the Earth's geometric shape, orientation in space, and gravity field. Many, many problems with this statement, and I'm sure by now everyone has identified them. I identified it the other day. Geodesy is the science? No, it's not a natural science. At best, it's an ology. It's the study of. Let's continue. Of accurately measuring. They don't measure a thing. It's all based on optics. They calculate via optics. So 2 down right off they're not starting off too good. Understanding the Earth's geometric shape, orientation in space. The only way you know your orientation in space or the object's orientation in space, you have to get far enough away to view it in total. That's the only way you can get to the orientation in space. Common sense. And the last one. And gravity field? What? What in the world does the gravity field have to do with your science of accurately measuring? This, let me stop right here. Any comments on this? This is what geodesy is.
Only that bloody, because it was on, we covered this lightly, didn't we, the other night? Gravity field was bugging me, what it could mean. In respect to what they're measuring, how they're laying it out, and the only thing is kind of on a level Bev type in terms of just the orientation of direction and how they would if it was on a ball, which isn't a geodetic, by the way. But even on the geodetic, you're going to have that slight variation in the orientation of their down, basically, how it does change over distance. The only thing I could think that they would be. So they put an excuse in to say that 4 miles away is tilted away at a certain angle as well. Do you know what I mean?
I'm gonna expand on this with the father of modern geodesy here in a few minutes, but I'm just gonna leave this go here for now. Any other comments on this?
Yeah, I've one. I could rename this into circumdicular geometry specialization. From what I'm reading on the screen, that kind of seems what it describes. Like the mechanics of how to reify the mathematics into that ball. Yeah, sure.
Can I just clarify what I did say, just to add to it? It is again a presumption, because they're going to take those two poles, like say, at a distance apart, and they will apply a different direction of gravity. But again, as you highlighted at the beginning, John, there's no measurement involved. What they do is they look at it, see how far it is away, plot it on the geoid, and then make a statement that it's actually got a different gravity field, a different direction of down, which is based on what they assume the distance is, and it's then being plotted on to their model. And that then different orientation is extracted from the model. It's not extracted in any way from measurement or reality.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to add to get us back on track. The point at this point of the presentation, to highlight the fact that they're deriving their assertion from optics. Adam summarized it better than I need to, but just to get us back onto the presentation, exactly that. They're not measuring Jack, deriving it from an optical observation.
Yep. That's it. I'm going to show that in spades here below. Check this out. Many organizations use Geodesy to map the U.S. See, here's what they do to legitimize themselves in front of Joe Globy and Spinning Sally. They're going to give a few reasons here that justify their existence. Listen to this. Many organizations use Geodesy to map the U.S. shoreline, number one, determine land boundaries, number two, and improve transportation and navigation safety. Wow. So Joe Globy and Spinning Sally, they say, well, I've driven down Highway 1, or pick your favorite highway, Coastal Highway. They pretty much got that squared away. So good job on number one. Determine land boundaries. Well, we generally don't hear about any, problems with land disputes in general, right? So that's a plus number two. And then improve transportation and navigation safety. Well, generally speaking, we have that, right? So plus three. Well, since these three are true and pretty accurate, therefore Geodesy is legitimate. You see how they did that? I see it jumped off the page at me right when I first started, because I'm always looking for disciplines legitimizing themselves, right? I'm always keen on that for some reason. So that's what they try to do. That's how they legitimize themselves to the can't fog a mirror masses. So let's listen to the rest of this. This is very important right here. To measure points on the Earth's surface, geodesists assign coordinates similar to a unique address to points all over the Earth. In the past, geodesists determined the coordinates of points by using Earth-based surveying tools to measure the distances between points. Today, geodesists use space-based tools like the Global Positioning System to measure points on the Earth's surface. Now, let's just deal with this one right here. We all know that their space-based tools are in a second law of thermodynamics violation. That is Narnia, i.e., this does not exist. So it's baloney right here. Now, this point. Look at this. And I pointed this out the other day. You see what I highlighted right here? Let's jump down to the last paragraph, because it's going to have the same statement, right? To measure the Earth, because they said to measure points on the Earth's surface, same thing. Geodesists assign coordinates, right? That's what they said. But down here, what do they say? To measure the Earth, geodesists build simple mathematical models of the Earth? That, number one, it doesn't match what they set up here. Number one. So that's a contradiction. Number two, this is non sequitur. To measure the Earth, geodesists build simple mathematical models? What in the world is that, people? That doesn't follow. Like I said, there should be a new category of subject-verb agreement other than plurality. Because this isn't agreeing with, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever, does it? To measure the Earth, geodesists build simple mathematical model? So you're measuring a mathematical model? I'd like to see that. Where are you getting the mathematical model from? This is a train wreck, people. We'll continue. I'll start over. To measure the Earth, geodesists build simple mathematical models of the Earth which capture the largest, most obvious features. Geodesists have adopted the ellipsoid as the most basic models everywhere. Model of the Earth. You've adopted it from where? Who came up with this ellipsoid, and what justified your adoption of it? Because the ellipsoid is based on a very simple mathematical model, we got models till the cows come home. It can be completely smooth and does not include any mountains or valleys. When additional detail of the Earth is needed, geodesists use the geoid? Really? A geoid? Listen to this. A geoid has a shape very similar to global mean sea level. What? That doesn't make any sense. Which shape is global mean sea level? But this exists over the whole globe, not just over the oceans? Really? So what's a geoid? You see what they do here? They got two mathematical models. The ellipsoid, right? And the geoid. Well, what's a geoid? Let's take a look at this. From Oxford Dictionary, there's a picture of it. We're going to go over this in a few minutes. The hypothetical shape of the Earth. What? How in the world are you measuring a hypothetical shape? Hello? Mike, discipline, please. How on earth are you? This doesn't make any sense. How on earth are you measuring the hypothetical shape? You can't do it. It's hypothetical. Part 2, coinciding with the mean sea level and its imagined extension under land areas. Right? Here's a picture of it. Let's get another one. There's the there it is. A deformed testicle. Where in the world, where'd you get this from? Somebody conjured this, right? This is quite disturbing. Let's move back to the ellipsoid. That's the two models that they use, folks. Here we go. First, we'll go over to the ellipsoid. The World Geodetic System, WGS 84. This is an ellipsoid. Now, the first thing that jumps off the chart at you is the shape of this, right? Where did you get this shape, por favor? Because I don't know about you, the hundreds of thousands of CGI images from NASA don't show this ellipsoid shape. So why did you arbitrarily just conjure it to describe that which we're standing on? It doesn't make any sense. So what you need to do, geodesists and geodetic surveyors and globetards, you need to call NASA and have them redact 50 years of their CGI. Because it's wrong. This is Mach's Nix. Right? This is a little trick. Remember what I said at the beginning. This is how the trick works. They conjure a model, whether it be a geoid or an ellipsoid. They'll go in between the two depending on, what train wreck they want to discuss. So they conjure a model, then use calculations based on optics, then take those calculations that are based on optics and wrap them around the fairy tale they just conjured, whether it be the ellipsoid right here or the next one, right? They're geoid.
Go on, Owen. Sorry.
No, I was kind of wanted to make a troll comment, sort of. So,
Can I just?
what
go on,
causes it to be spherical? Terrestrial refraction.
Well, John, could you just go back one slide to where it's got the Wikipedia thing, and where are you talking about? There's very clever wording.
Which one?
The actual description. It was the web page.
Oh, sorry, but yeah, I can go back there 1 second. You're talking about geoid or geodesy?
Geoid.
This one?
Give it a second for the thing to catch up and watch it. No, the actual web page where there's in the right hand corner there's the description of it. It uses very clever language, like you say. Yeah, there it is. That's it. So it says, look, the geoid. What they're trying to do, as you say, is get you to accept a model. And what they're doing here is quite. It's very naughty actually, because if you actually take it at face value, then actually. Look, the geoid is the shape that the ocean surface would take. Oh, it's gone. Under the influence of gravity. Oh, you've got rid of it.
Oh, which one do you want?
The one you just had up before you took it away twice.
This one?
Give the screen a chance to catch. Nothing's caught up there. Anyway, I'll make the point. The point with it is, look, if you look at within the language, it actually categorically stating to you that this is what the world would look like. Yeah. This if we didn't have things such as winds and tides were absent. Yeah? So I want you to imagine, but they con you on this thing. Oh yeah, well of course if we had winds and tides it'd look like a ball, wouldn't it? But if it didn't, that's what it'd look like. And it's just very clever kind of Tavistock language, which is implanting a subconscious acceptance as you read the sentence. The sentence makes you accept the previous one. Well, of course it doesn't look like that because of winds and tides. Do you get me? It's very naughty language.
This definition right here, Adam, I think this is the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
It says the geoid is a shape that the ocean surface would take under the influence of gravity and the rotation of the Earth alone.
Yeah.
If other influences such as winds and tides were absent.
Guys, I didn't know we lived on the geoid. I thought we lived on a planet.
Well,
we don't, because we got winds and tides, Owen. But if we didn't, that's what it'd look like.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, and they go in, like I said, they go in between the two, the geoid and the ellipsoid. I got a big problem with that, don't I? Shouldn't we all? Because of all the NASA CGIs, they're going to have to redact those, right? Am I off the reservation with that?
Because we got winds and tides. So it looks like the blue marble.
Wait, redactions, you say?
Yes.
That doesn't seem to be something that they typically do. I think they're going to double down.
Yes.
Just make it more confusing.
Go ahead. We got a little echoing going on. Try it again, Arvin.
Oh, I said, I think that like correcting themselves is not something that's really typically what they do. So I think they're rather just going to double down and make things more confusing.
Yes, exactly. But once you read on, this is all I got for this page right here. I think we pretty much took the nail spike Louisville Slugger. This is a joke, folks. Everything that I just told you is either a contradiction in terms. It really spells out what they're doing here. Like I said, remember, keep this in your mind. They conjure a model, like what they said, geodesists build simple mathematical models. They do that first. Then they used calculations based on optics, then wrap those calculations they base on optics around the fairy tale model they conjured, and they call it a sphere. This is the game, and they'll go in between the two, the geoid and the ellipsoid. If you're a soundly follower, this is an elliptoid with a T. Unbelievable. So anything on this? This is the definition of geodesy. So it's all downhill from here.
The only thing I was going to add is the comparison to Andrew Thomas Young, that we're going to draw a line of sight, the apparent horizon, and then in the next sentence describes how the apparent horizon is something that you can't see, because what you're seeing is a refracted horizon. In other words, it's Adam described it as Tavistockian. I don't exactly know what that means. I know what the Tavistock Institute is, but I don't know what a Tavistockian term is. But there we go. That's how Adam described it. a similar thing, right? You're telling somebody for a line of sight. That means you can see it for an apparent position. Apparent, right? So we can see it. But we can't see it because it's refracted with the R value we'll use to measure it. It's like, okay, so we're picturing something we can see that isn't there. Just a way of getting you to conjure the model in your mind when it's not apparent, but they're describing it as apparent with lines of sight to it, even though you can't see it. And round you go.
Yep. This is round and round we go. Before we get to the coup de grace, I wanted to go over one important book. This is Mathematical and Physical Theories of Higher Geodesy, Part 1, Preface and the Mathematical Theories. Mathematical theory, that's like an achromatic rainbow or military intelligence, but I digress. This is from the father of modern geodesy. His name is Friedrich Helmert. Shout out to Witsit and Indio on 24/7 for tracking this down for me. I went through this document a little bit this morning. This document is massive. But there was a part in here that I wanted to pull out, and he came out of the gate with it, and I wanted to spend just a couple minutes on it, and it's right here. So this is from the father of modern geodesy. Listen to this closely, folks. Page 2. In spite of the fact that the surface of the earth cannot be reached everywhere, it has been made possible to have a general knowledge of the shape of the earth through the existence of a simple law of formation of the shape of the whole body of the earth. What? It has been made possible? How has it been made possible? But I digress. So remember, this is a simple law of formation of the shape of the whole body of the earth. This is a law of formation of which the factors are. Here are the factors of the law of formation of the shape of the whole body of the earth. Gravitation of mass particles and centrifugal force. From what? Axial rotation of the earth. This whole fairy tale is based on a conjured model again. And I just got it from the father of modern geodesy or geodetic surveying. Gravitation of mass particles, really? Not a fact. I don't think they know what gravity is. You definitely don't know what mass is. And the Earth's not rotating. So your entire discipline is pillared by fairy tales that we've debunked. Right? This is a joke, folks, of epic proportions. Let's get back to also remember they said the gravity field in their definition right up here, right? Geodesy is the science, of accurately measuring and understanding the Earth's geometric shape, orientation in space, and gravity field. I went looking that up because I wanted to make sure that I knew which type of gravity they were talking about. So, in physics, from their alma mater wiki, in physics, yeah, right. A gravitational field is a model. Here we go again. Another model. They're measuring models. They're not measuring anything. Used to explain the influence that a massive body extends into the space around itself. That's lunacy. Producing a force. Thank you very much. We already know what this is talking about. This is talking about the universal law of gravitation that was superseded, that is toppled from the throne by Einstein in 1915. They're parroting the wrong pseudoscience. I just wanted to make sure that point was driven home. Questions, comments up to this point?
Other than I knew that was coming at the end. I'm good.
So let me do this. Let me also do this. So what they're doing is they're thinking that they have an object that they're standing on, right? And they have it in their mind, and they're making a mathematical model of it and trying to predict what it would be. This is their mathematical model of this. That's what they're doing. You see it? This is their mathematical model of that banana. That's how crazy it is. Because what they did was they conjured a model. Remember what I said? The ellipsoid and the geoid? Where'd they get that from? They're begging the question all the way home. This is tantamount to using this as a mathematical model to describe that.
No, they tell you in that first web page you show, they describe it up there, and but it was a very happy day, and the geodesic family went to the Shapes orphanage and adopted, as they state, they adopted the geoid, didn't they? I mean, you know, the runners of the orphanage might have had to explain a bit to old Sphere and pear-shaped, and maybe banana there. But as they say, they adopted it, that shape. Now, they don't validate why they adopted that shape, really, do they? But they do at least give you a reason. They adopted it.
Yes. Adopted it from where?
Well, I don't know. They didn't measure it or anything, you know, observe it.
Book lined up. I was going to talk about whether or not the Americans had the Idiocy models home.
That's what I mean, isn't it? You've got all these little shapes running around an orphanage, and the geodesic family turned up and adopted that little baby geoid. So,
Exactly.
It's so sweet. That is a scrumptious tale of idiocy.
what it said in that bloody article that you cited.
Yeah. They just it. This is so funny that grown adults. I'm speechless.
Got a question.
Go ahead.
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
Who employs these people, and why are they employing them to do what?
I don't know, sir.
That's not a relevant question, though. And who's saying to these people, go out and assume optical drop and angular resolution limits are actually based on datums? Who's paying them to do this? I don't get it.
They're paying them for it to, like I said.
Anchors?
Yeah.
Funder?
Yeah.
This
This is allegedly a discipline, right? Do you see how they're doing it? They're using a plane surveying and people, you know, Joe Globey and Spinning Sally think that this is legitimate, right? Because they see surveyors. People have seen surveyors out there. They think it's a legitimate discipline. And then when they superimpose geodesy over it, well, that must be legitimate too. Therefore, we live on a spinning ball space monkey religion. You see how you can make those leaps real quick?
Yeah, I definitely see the connection. And I at the beginning of the show, I highlighted how, you know, the trench level fundies are utilizing or falling back on geodesy to beg the question, and that's exactly what the presentation's about. But it's still, the question still stands, right? At what point does an employer, what's the profitable nature of doing this? I don't understand who's the. As I worked in recruitment once, right? Well, who would be the person that I would approach to say, you need geodetic surveyors? Because I've got them. I can fill that spot, you know. But who's the employer?
You got me, Nathan.
Maybe someone in the list. Who's employing these geodetic surveyors? I don't get it.
Yes, sir.
Construction
We got some.
company?
Hold on, Arwen. We got some echo going on. Mike, discipline in the hangout, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Arwen.
I was just saying, perhaps bigger construction companies as part of their program, big companies, big contracts, convoluted stuff, you know? So maybe that way.
I don't know. I don't know. This is like hiring weather forecasters. At least they get it somewhat right every now and again. But this is, like I said, I don't know how you can see this as a legitimate discipline, even after what I showed you. I mean, we didn't try to pull, any quickies on you. We didn't try to straw man them. We gave you the definition, and then we went through the definition. If you can't tell that that's malarkey, then you need to be institutionalized or go back to reading comprehension, because this is what it is. You just had the Noah tell you, then the father of modern geodesy, per Harvard, told you how they play this game. And I'm telling you, this is what they do. Let me tell you again, before we get to the coup de grace. What they do is they conjured a model first. Then they use optical calculations, the calculations they receive from their optics, wrap these optical calculations around the model that they conjured in the first step. It's as simple as that. It's the mother of circular begging the question fallacies. It's simple as that. It's not even hard. You just circle round and round we go, right? Because they don't measure anything. It's optical calculations. And every time they say measurement, stop them right in their tracks. They ain't measuring anything. They have to define measurement. Good luck with that. All right, so let's get to the coup de grace. We're going to shift focus to what we've been talking about for years and what Nathan led out with right before we began the presentation. He said it with the Earth curve calculator. Proof of nothing, begging the question, perspective hijacking. This is the trick. We're going to show you the trick in spades right here. I've been waiting. It's happened many times, but it happened recently. I was just sitting there waiting. Okay, give us your proof of the Earth from the main surveyor. Because like I said, he was in a debate the other day against Witzik Gets It over at BALLBUSTERS on a separate debating channel. And this is what happened. Now, I want you to orient you to who we're talking about. This is the main surveyor. Him and Jesse Kozlowski are kissing cousins. And like I said, he was on that debate. Of course, he came out with level is curved. Level is curved because it has it in his textbooks. He's correct. Those textbooks say level is curved. But level's not curved, sir. I don't care what they say. If they said that you were a facultative anaerobe woodpecker, would you believe them? Because level is definitely not curved. It doesn't have the semantic range. Level is the antithesis of curve. So it can't mean curve. Get it? I doubt it. Level's not curved, sir. Get a grip. Now, like I said, I was waiting because I knew he was going to come out with his proofsies. And I wasn't going to be disappointed because here is his proofsies. This picture was taken on May 16th, 2019 through a Leica TS-16er total station telescope set. He's showing you Halfway Rock Lighthouse. That's this big lighthouse right here in the middle at almost 9 miles away from where he's standing, and Seguin Island Lighthouse, which is almost 24 miles away right back here. So this is Seguin. This is Halfway Rock Lighthouse. And what his claim is for the proof of the Earth is that since these lighthouses are below his crosshairs that he made level back where he was at way back here, that since they are below those crosshairs, then the Earth between him and these lighthouses, the only explanation is that it's curved. Can you believe that? I'm telling you that's what he said, and I'm going to play it for you right now. Are you ready? Here we go. Go on mute in the Hangout, please, so I don't get an echo. I'm going to play it twice. It's real quick. Here we go. Thank you.
The only way for Seguin Island Lighthouse, the elevation of which is at 184 feet, the light, to be below the crosshairs that were at 7683 feet is for the surface between us to be curved.
One more time.
The only way for Seguin Island Lighthouse, the elevation of which is at 184 feet, the light, to be below the crosshairs that were at 7683 feet is for the surface between us to be curved.
That's it, folks. He's finished. Absolutely finished. Thank you very much, main surveyor. Like I told Jesse nearly 4 years ago, and he didn't listen to me, I said, I can destroy your entire discipline with a simple phrase. Here's the phrase again, Jesse. I know you heard it before. You and your boys, the main surveyor. I think there's another guy out there, Mr. Larry Scott, Mr. Geodetic Surveying, right? Listen to this closely. This destroys your entire fairy tale discipline. Angular size change with distance. Let me say it again. This is what you're going to tell your therapist. Ready? Angular size change with distance. News flash, breaking news. When things get further away from you, shit shrinks. We hashtagged it. This is the little game that they're playing, folks. They're hijacking simple perspective, angular size change with distance, and calling that curvature. Does this surprise anyone? Incoherent second graders know of this. It's apodictic to them. When stuff is closer, like this 6-inch object, it dwarfs this 6-foot man or woman. And that man or woman's not that far away, right? But with distance, guess what? Things get smaller. And when things get closer, they get bigger. Simple test. Anyone can do anything that they do. I like to do it at the airport, right? When you're sitting in, waiting on your plane, you can look at the planes take off. I always like to watch planes take off. Crazy like that. What you can do, you got a jumbo 747. You can totally occlude that jumbo 747 with your thumb, can't you? 100, 200, 250 meters away tops. You can totally, it'll disappear inside your thumb. You won't be able to see it. That's called angular size change with distance. You understand that? My word. So, like I said, his proof. Go ahead.
Shout out to Unicorn Laser Eyes for hitting the super chat. It says thanks for the info.
Thank you, Unicorn Laser Eyes. We can stop with this. Any questions or I mean, it's over right here. I don't think I need to say anything more.
Yes,
do I?
Yes, definitely. Please, can you leave the frame up with his crosshairs and the picture of the 2 lighthouses?
Yes, it's up.
So, perfect. So if you look on that diagram, I'll just get the numbers. I'm just going to look away. Hold on. It's got 76 and 184 feet. Yeah.
Yes.
Nuggets. Well, that size, when like with your 6-inch item, doesn't change with distance. That number, that value is an actual size. So it doesn't matter if you're stood at the base of that lighthouse. Yeah. Still 184 feet. Now, as you back away from it for a mile, it's still 184 feet. And that's the trick. As soon as you see a feet and inches or meters value for the target, that doesn't change with distance. And that's how they do it. They will substitute angular size. So when Quantum Eraser correctly says over and over again that the angular size will change with distance, shit gets smaller. Exactly. Well, that isn't represented in a feet and inches or meters value. And that's what they use. And they say, well, why is this 184-foot lighthouse lower than a 70-foot lighthouse or whatever the values they are? Well, it's because it's dropped behind Earth curve. How can something that's 170 foot be smaller than something that's 70 foot? Well, obviously, it's gone around a curve. No, it's further away. The angular size is reduced. Totally not represented when you give it an actual size at any distance.
This is imbecilic of the highest order, in my humble opinion. That's how stupid this is to me. I don't know about you guys out there in the audience. Maybe you think I'm too harsh, but we just broke it down to you. It's not that difficult, right? This isn't rocket science.
They have to know this, though. Come on, QE. Are they that stupid?
I don't know. I've told Jesse. I know a number of people have told him this over the years. And Jesse, you didn't give this proof. I'm not laying this at your doorstep, but this is one of your guys. And I just had to wait until he said it. I knew it was coming. I'd searched through Hangouts and stuff, but this was an actual debate. He had slides and everything. I'm like, thank you, Lord. It's going to happen. And it happened quick. So I don't know, Neil, or guys in the on the panel. You tell me. This is over. It's over. O-V-E-R, over. That's it.
OVA.
OVER. So just for the audience's benefit, if you get into debate with somebody and they show you something like this, to cognitively process it for your benefit or theirs, if you're trying to convince them, which is unlikely going to succeed, picture this particular value. So what is it? Let's just call it 180 feet, just for round numbers. Well, let's say it's a couple of miles away. Yeah, you can see 180 feet. Well, in their maths, when they draw a man on the left and the lighthouse on the right, and they draw a line between the two, the only thing that's going to stop you seeing that lighthouse is going to be if you insert a curve between the two items. Now, in reality, if you remove the curve, you can write whatever value you like on the line. In other words, you can write 1,000,000 miles on the line, have a 6-foot man on the left-hand side of the page, and a 180-foot lighthouse on the right-hand side of the page, and still draw one straight line between the two of them. Values are absolutely correct, and mathematically it's depicted accurately. A straight line between you and something at 180 feet, and the distance is 1,000,000 miles. In reality, you can't see anything of that size at 1,000,000 miles. It's absurd. In the diagram you can draw a line between the two of them, and you can attribute any value you like to it. It'll never disappear. It'll always be that 180-foot value. And when it starts to disappear, why? Because it's got too small. You say Earth curve's got in the way. The feet and inches value will remain the same regardless. The fact that it could be getting too small to see, they'll just ignore that and call it Earth curve. That's how the hijacking of perspective has been done. They've taken a feet and inches value, which will remain constant at any distance, and inserted a curve getting in the way inside profile, that you don't have any aspects of perspective taken into consideration. In fact, they've taken the very nature of angular resolution limits, diffraction limits, perspective, and called it Earth curve.
Yep, exactly. Here, this is one's for you. This is from the same slide presentation. This was really coy. So he gave us Muppet vision, right? But he didn't give us Muppet vision of what he thought it would look like on a flat Earth, right? If you put this guy and this guy up on the index line, right, that would be Muppet vision, what you were talking about before, right? Hello? Did I lose you guys out there? Radio check.
I'm here.
I was
Still
just
hear
going. I was going to the live stream to see what you had presented. Yes, I've got it on in front of me now.
Yeah. So this is Muppet vision, what Nathan was talking about before, but he was real coy. He showed how this Muppet vision looks on a curved surface, right? You see this? But actually what he's trying to say is if the Earth was flat, this and this would be on the same index line right here, and this one should be higher than his level. This one should be higher than his level. You see that, folks?
I was quickly just doing a quick chat on Metabunk, looking at the hiddens and the likes. The first one you can see it all apparently, because you're high enough. But the last one, there should be, double check it. It was 24 miles, wasn't it, roughly?
It was 23.39 miles, Seguin Lighthouse, and the height, Seguin Lighthouse, elevation of the light, that's to the light on the lighthouse, is 184 feet.
What's that, 115, 16 foot of drop, hidden drop from that height that they'd have, and that's just not commensurate with the image either.
Nope.
The relationships, and you can see the top of that lighthouse at 184, but it's all in there, isn't it? Again, I mean, to me, John, it's obvious, you know, at what your previous, you know, the thing you started with the Godzilla, you can put Godzilla in there, and at what point then, using geodetic surveying, is Godzilla 80 feet? You know, at what distance is Godzilla 80 foot tall? Because that's what they're suggesting. Now, it'd have to be pretty close if it was the little toy, or a long way away if he was the real Godzilla.
Adam, you're it's like we're talking to preschoolers, man.
Well, I think this is the concept we are discussing. But look at that.
Right. Hey, we have to get to their level to get through to them.
The level, but listen to this. Curve fitting the zero elevation at each of these 3 points yields a they get a radius of the Earth out of this.
Because they're taking, they can, because they derive R from an optical drop. It's the same perspective hijacking methodology, but once that's been engineered into the curve maths, you can then back engineer out an R value from any observation.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
Yes. So they're getting their radius value from dismissing angular size change with distance. That's how they're getting it. This is a train wreck.
I totally called it without even seeing this. So I hadn't seen your last presentation, which was no doubt a part of, right? But I totally called it at the beginning of the show. I said they can't beg the question of R, and they needed some convoluted gaggle screw by way of geodetic surveys to beg the question of R again. And here it is. And what are they using? Oh, they're using the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator with its assumption of an R derived by way of a dip angle measurement to a physical geometric sphere edge horizon. Oh, my bad, Black Swan. No, fundies. No.
They needed a new magical beanstalk to carry their air castle in the clouds. And this is it. This is their new shoot attempt.
I don't know what to say about this. That's the end of the presentation, unless somebody wants to add something to this. It doesn't need any adding. This imbecilic of the highest order is brought to you by secret numpty dipshit kings. That's all I can say to it. This is juvenile, pathetic, proby. That's it.
I'd like to hear from Parmesan. He's got some questions.
Say again?
This Parmesan dude got some questions in chat. Why don't you put him on and see what he's got to say?
Parmesan with cheese
in the Discord chat.
We'll get him a chance. Nathan will take him through it. I just want to get some comments from any of the resident experts on the panel. First, with you, Arwen. What do you think about all this, man?
Well, it's the reification life, guys. That's what it is. It's a whole new line of jobs with the reification life. They had the is it the astronomers, the whole bunch like that, and now they got another department, and they keep on basically tinkering and building new parts of what people can do as they are kept in the belief of the Earth being a globe. So I guess it's just the next step.
The next step. It's a doozy. Neil, what do you think about this? I know you commented a little bit with anything on this.
No, I just don't see how they don't put two and two together. If they're deliberately being stupid, or they just brainwashed, or what do you call it? Indoctrinated, and they won't look at the facts. That's all I got.
Well, they're probably gonna lure in just a whole bunch of people that aren't all that alert, and then they won't be able to tell the difference. Then they get a career in it, and then eventually they find out it's all bullshit. But we can figure that out before it even started up. But the people that they're gonna lure into actually doing all that, they're not gonna have figured it out when they engage. That's gonna be very unlikely.
Rob Keane, you are off mute, sir. How's it going today? You working?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you clear.
I ain't got nothing to say.
I love it, man. Concise as usual. Thank you. Adam, anything else with this?
Yeah. Could you maybe pull back up the Muppet Vision?
The Muppet Vision one. 1 second.
Yeah.
Where'd you go, Muppet Vision? There you go. We'll wait for a second or two on a little bit of a delay.
Just to put it's quite a good picture, because obviously the angles downwards, as you see those dotty lines that are drawn, they're as a consequence of the assumption, as they plot that Muppet Vision orthographic view, where there is no as there is no size change at distance on this. All they do is plot it, and the reason the top of the lighthouse is lower and lower on that picture is a presumption from the plotting that we're plotting on a curved surface. You take that presumption away and maybe just keep the lines as they are, which is not a problem. The lines, because they're based on the reality, the angles measured from reality. But instead of keeping the lighthouses in the same scale as the observer and his rock, you were to shrink them, to keep the top of and shrink them down. I wouldn't be surprised to see that no longer have we got a curved surface, but a flat surface along all the baseline, and that's the reality of what this misdirection of a Muppet Vision gives you. To keep their images look in the same scale from there. That's not what we are observing optically. They're assuming that angular size, that angular change away from the perpendicular is caused by a lowering of the geography, not something shrinking because it gets smaller in the distance.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah, simple as that. Yes. That's it. All right. Who we got? Nathan, you want to go through some of these guys, or it's up to you, sir? He might be out for a second. All right. Parmesan, you had a question? Be nice. You're unmuted.
Better be a good question.
He said he can't talk.
You said he can't talk. Okay.
I'm going to read his question.
Now, let me go in there. Hold on a second, Neil. Hold on. Okay, I got his question.
Okay.
Let me put him back on mute for a second. I don't want him coming back off. Okay, his question is, why is the 184-foot lighthouse appearing below eye level, which is only 76 feet? Well, because of angular size change with distance. We just went over this. Didn't you pay attention to the presentation? As it shrinks away with distance, it should approach eye level, but never go below it? Huh? I'm not following you here. Sorry.
This is where you need Brian to come running in. The rest of
Brian eye level, you know?
Let's go back to
where is that actually?
Let me go back to the photo here.
So I think, John, it's based on the presumption that if my eye level is at 50 foot and I'm looking at something that is 50 foot high, it will stay at level with my eye line no matter what distance away it is. That's the premise, I think, of what he's making.
Yeah, I'm not getting it. Why is it below? Well, because it shrinks. Angular size change with distance. That's the answer. So you can't speak. I hardly ever put chat skank comments or comment on them. I did it this time, but since you can't speak, then we're gonna move on.
Can I respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
Respond?
Sure.
Right. Well, if things disappear in a far distance, are you sure it's at eye level?
That's
would
right.
You assume it's below eye level. It might disappear because of diffraction, because of the concealment that happens because of diffraction limit complications. But who's to say where this actual eye level is? You know, that's the real establishment.
Well, no, they put eye level. eye level to them is the level that he had from his start point. So back here, his eye level is the crosshairs. That's his eye level. That's what he's saying.
That's the point they're making. This is the ridiculous notion of it. They're saying that if I had the real Godzilla, right, and I'm 100 foot high, I'm only looking at his belly button. As far away as Godzilla goes from me, I'll always be level with his belly button. Even though we know, actually, if Godzilla goes so far away, he'll shrink into the distance. Apparently, from that statement, I'll still be level with his belly button and should be able to see his belly button. It should be at my 90 degrees because we started at that point. Again, it's a denial of the shrinking. I think it's a fallacy that the ballers have used a long time by lining up lighters on a desktop. And like I said, you need Brian for this. He's done a lot of work demonstrating that this effect is not true. That even if you are level at a certain height, things of the same height will shrink below the eye line.
Of course.
It's the reification of the orthographic view.
Yeah, of course. And things disappear. Oh, go ahead, Nathan.
If you picture it the other way around, it's so much easier. Instead of trying to explain how things will shrink towards the horizon, drop, is to picture it the other way around. So if you start right next to your 180-foot lighthouse, you're cricking your neck up, looking up at it. If you back away 500 yards, there's a good chance it'll be 90 degrees. But at both points, with you looking right up at it, or it being at 90 degrees, it's still 180 foot. Nothing's changed, right? Well, apparently it's dropped. Well, what was the reason you stopped looking right up at it, cricking your neck right up to look at the top of the lighthouse when you were stood right next to it? Why it's now at 90 degrees? Oh, well, that must be because of Earth curve, right? Obviously not. You stood right next to something very tall, looking up at it. And as you back away, it's no longer necessary to crick your neck to look up. Is that because it's dropped around Earth curve? Well, according to Main Surveyor, it is.
Unbelievable.
Nathan, you make it so easy to understand. You are the best. You too.
Yeah. He's exactly right. Yep. That's the perfect description of it. Yep. That's easy.
Screw you. You mean you didn't like Godzilla, Neil? You didn't like Godzilla?
I loved it. I understood it. But maybe these retards will understand it the way Nathan described it. Standing right next to a building, got to look up. But then when you back away, oh, shoot, I don't have to crook my neck anymore.
I'm sticking with the Godzilla analogy. I'm not having it, Neil.
He ain't having it, Neil. No way.
I will say that Nathan paints a little bit of a better picture, Adam.
Fair enough.
It's simply not true. Adam is awesome.
Adam is ace. Travis,
No doubt.
let's get Travis in here. Travis, you have any comments on this fiasco of angular size change with distance they don't count for?
No, I was just gonna say reification all the way, man. Yeah, I didn't catch the first part of the presentation, but the last part seems pretty on point with Tuesdays. So
yeah, there wasn't too much different from Tuesday. Yeah, it's angular size change with distance. That's what it is. They say it's curve, and what they've done is they've hijacked, like we said many years ago when we caught him. Right, Nathan? You remember that day we caught him? I'll never forget that day. Hijacked perspective. They hijacked it and then wrote curve over top of it. That's what they did. That's it.
yeah, I remember the day that I listened to that.
Yeah.
On the debates.
Yep.
So yeah, kudos to you guys, man. Thanks.
Yep. You're welcome.
I remember getting Ranty to go and dig out some files from some observations he made of wind turbines that they asserted were falling around Earth curve. Obviously, the motion of them falling into the distance with perspective, not that I described it like that at the time, was being calculated in the Earth curve calculator with how much was being obscured by a physical sphere edge horizon. Ranty goes and gets the exact same shot from a roughly similar distance, but side on, 90 degrees to the same observation. They're flat as a pancake. it suddenly dawns on you. Hold on. It isn't that they've ignored perspective, because up until that point, I was calling the calculator, the begging the question, perspective excluding Earth curve calculator, because we were saying, well, you need to include this effect. Like the calculator was still valid. This is way back when. But in reality, QE came along and was like, look, the calculations for linear perspective are almost identical to the calculations for Earth curve drop. They're one and the same thing. Adam came along and was like, look, the maths work out the same as well. And if you plot them in geographic puppet vision, until you get to about, I don't know, can't remember exactly, about 1,000 miles, say, they're all following the exact same line, and then they deviate a bit at a vast distance. But they're the same thing. Like, perspective is Earth curve.
Yes, sir. That was a lovely day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went from perspective exclusive to perspective hijacking. And in that moment, it's like they've called perspective Earth curve then. They've just taken that effect of things getting smaller into the distance and called it Earth curve.
Yes,
wow.
Sir. That was a wonderful day. Never forget it. Hey, thanks a lot, Matt, Eagle Plane and Anchor, for the super chat. He said, if you don't support BALLBUSTERS, then you ain't be black. Joe Biden 2020. Thanks. All right, that should be about it, man. This is there's not too much to talk about with this because it's over, folks. I'm telling you, this is Proby Juvenile, imbecilic of the highest order, produced by secret numpty dipshit kings. All this can be toppled from the throne by incoherent second graders who just focus just for a few minutes and just understand angular size change. It all goes bye-bye. That's how easy this is. Unbelievable. Let's finish up. Final thoughts. Go through the group. Arwen, you're up.
Yeah, well, you summed it up pretty well. And I did too, I thought. It's basically a new little tentacle to keep the conditioned masses busy and give them an option to become part of the conditioning. So yeah, that's what it is.
Channel promotion, please.
Oh yeah. Arwin, ARWIGN. I have a Flat Earth early bird show every day, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time. Interact with chat a lot. Just me. And yeah, I hope to see you there.
Appreciate it, Arwen. Hey, Dreamily Resonant. I missed you up here. Sorry about that. Any thoughts on angular size change with distance? Anything with the presentation? Comments, questions, anything?
I'm sorry, I don't really have anything about angular size. I do, for a matter of fact, have something to do with geodetic surveying large, but I guess that's not the topic.
What do you mean geodetic surveying large?
I mean, in the broader topic, in the broader issue of geodetic survey, they are using an angle wheel, but they are under the presupposition that the Earth has 2 poles. So when they move, I guess, with this angle wheel, let's say across or along a latitude line, they assume that the angle wheel does not orient differently underneath them because they assume it is anchored by 2 poles and not 1.
Huh.
So it can give up a very skewed angle results and angle measurements.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope. It was a great presentation.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Adam, sir, any final thoughts on this and channel promotion, please?
Do channel shout outs first. I normally forget. And I did forget last night, so apologies to Iron Realm last night. It was probably the subject matter. I was preparing a little speech on, that certain thing that's going around keeping us all in our homes on the testing of that. I was reading through it after a couple of shandies, and it was so boring I fell asleep myself and missed the show. So apologies last night. Normally on 11 o'clock on a Friday evening UK time. So that's that. But just great show presentation tonight. I don't think it highlights it. You said at the end, it's what it is, done and dusted. And it is done and dusted in the sense that, things do get smaller in a distance. That in of itself isn't the problem. It's the complete lack of consideration of that fact in all their calculations that is the done and dusting for me. So all the things that have been previously presented to us, and going back to the Isle of Man stuff where we had a geometric curve, none of it took this into consideration. And even now, as you showed with that last orthographic Muppet view, still isn't.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Nathan, sir, take us home.
And yeah, excellent presentation. The hijacking of perspectives is demonstrated quite admirably by these surveyors utilizing the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking earth curve calculator to reintroduce an R value that's been debunked by the black swan. Same exact thing applies. You can't derive an R value if you can't see a geometric tangent point for a horizon and give you an R value to beg the question by way of datum or any other method, then assume your zenith is pointing to the center of a presupposed spherical earth. Total nonsense hijacking of perspective, and exposed beautifully by Quantum Eraser as ever. So thank you very much to everybody who's tuned in live. If you're watching this on Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley 1980 on Re-Up, and massive thanks to all of you who tuned in also. Over on Nathan Oakley channel now, or 8:30 p.m. UK time, there is a brand new Flat Earth debate, uncut and after show. So be here or be sphere. I will spam the link in the live stream, live chat. So out that, it'll be starting pretty much as soon as this show finishes. Thanks again to Quantum Eraser. Thanks again to everyone who tuned in live here or be sphere for brand new Flat Earth debate, uncut and after show on the Nathan Oakley channel. Thanks again, Quantum Eraser.